However, the issue is that while I love my husband dearly, he is not exactly gifted in the genetics department in a number of ways, mainly height, and a few other things. Welcome back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories, where I go over them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today, I'm going to go over a story titled, Am I the A-hole for wanting a sperm donor? And guys, this story is yet another example of you can't make this crap up. This story is about a woman. She's 33 years old, been married to her husband for 3 years since she was 30, and I'm going to come back to that in a moment, and essentially wants to start a family. But here's the thing. She doesn't want her husband's genes, her husband's sperm. Oh, no. She wants somebody else's. Why, you may ask? Because she doesn't think her husband's genetics, his line, is fit for her future son. In other words, this guy's short. Apparently, he's receding hairline or balding, and she doesn't want that. And as you can probably imagine, when she approached the idea to him about getting a sperm donor, he didn't take it too well. In fact, he was pretty pissed off about that because he said flat out, when we got together, you said you wanted to start a family. And she'll claim, well, just because I said I want to start a family didn't mean technically it was with you. Hand to God, you can't make this shit up. So she's having a meltdown now because, God forbid, he has a problem with this. And this is a perfect example, guys, of the things I talk about, both this channel and the other, multiple things here. Number one, how by and large they all settle. So for you guys out there that didn't get a lot of attention from girls growing up, high school, college, and all of a sudden a pretty girl is after you, you have to question why if things about you hasn't changed in terms of improvement. Because generally speaking, they settle. And they always typically settle so they can be married by 30. And right here, she's 30 or 33 now, he's 30. And older than him, I might add. So obviously she's settled. He wasn't good enough physically for her to have a child with, but he was good enough to marry, settle down with, and obviously I'm sure his bank account, his job, the income he brings in, it makes up for that. But she sure as hell doesn't want to have kids with this guy. You can't make this up. This also goes to show how selfish and entitled some of these gals are nowadays. I didn't say all, but I definitely said some. Also, this goes to show you, once again, how, I might add also, she probably doesn't want to sleep with him. She's probably that turned off by him physically. This is an excuse not to sleep with him. But anyhow, I've gone long enough, so I'm going to get into this, guys, and I'll point these things out along the way, because this is truly just nothing surprises me anymore, but even this one caught me by a little bit of surprise. So it starts off, she says, me, a 33-year-old female, and my husband, a 30-year-old male, have been married for 3 years. Our relationship has always been excellent. Excellent. If your relationship was excellent and you loved him so much, you wouldn't care that he was short or balding, and you'd want your child to be part him. But, well, not so excellent, honey. He is an excellent provider, ding, 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 and treats me incredibly well, ding, ding, ding. Nice guy. And I love him from the bottom of my heart. From the very beginning of our relationship, we have both acknowledged that we want to have a family someday. Okay, both have said they wanted a family someday. However, the issue is that while I love my husband dearly, he is not exactly gifted in the genetics department in a number of ways, mainly height, and a few other things. Oh, but he was perfectly okay to marry, given the fact that you said right here from the get-go that he's an excellent provider and treats her well, incredibly well, probably because to him, he thought he got a prize. And this poor guy was probably clueless and didn't get female nature. Obviously, I still love him and want to spend the rest of my life with him, but I'm not incredibly sure I want him to be our children's biological father. I should note that when we talked about having a family when we first started dating, we never said we strictly wanted to be our children's biological parents. Newsflash, when a couple starts dating and getting serious, and they talk about the future, because obviously by the time you're in your 20s, people want to find somebody that's, they see eye to eye with future life goals. People don't put the fine print in there when they say they want to have a family and say, oh, by the way, I want to have it with you. right? She's just finding an excuse. She's looking for a loophole to get out of having to have sex with this guy as little as possible, because she's obviously physically unattracted to him, and also wants to give birth to a so-called high-value guy. Remember the whole 6 feet tall, that type of thing? A few days ago, I spoke with him about this. I prefaced it with telling him that I love him, but that I would be more comfortable if the child's biological father was a sperm donor. I still want him to be our child's father, of course. I just didn't want him to be the biological father. Translation, I want him to still be there to provide me and the future child of a guy I really would want, physically, the lifestyle that I'm used to. And maybe after a while, when I get used to it and I'm in long enough, then I can kick him to the curb and take half and all that. That's what she's really saying here. If she loved him so much, like she's, trying to make out in the beginning of this thing, it wouldn't matter. Okay? She'd still love him no matter what. And let me tell you something. Some of the most badass alpha males, hard-ass guys I've ever known were short guys. Short guys, balding guys. I can think of one in particular. This guy was one tough dude, and you wouldn't want to mess with him. It's all about attitude and views. He very quickly got angry with me and suggested that I didn't truly love him. Where could he possibly get that idea? I would never imagine. And good for him. Good for him. Maybe he's not as weak as I thought. This caught me off guard, and the discussion soon turned into a screaming match. Well, who was screaming first? Probably her. I told him that at the end of the day, it was my body, and it was my decision who I wanted the biological father to be. Good Lord. Now, guys, I want to point something out here. There are a lot of comments to this story, as you can probably imagine, and I read a lot of them. And there are some people that think that this is actually a BS article. Not impossible. You never know. And the reasoning is they're thinking that probably some bitter, as they would say, incel guys did this on purpose to make women look bad. Because nowadays, the gals nowadays, no one would ever stoop this low or be this ridiculous. Well, newsflash, I've been doing this for a while. I've lived long enough, and yes, this could happen. Afterwards, he stormed out of the house, and now he's telling his family that I tricked him by telling him I wanted a family, even though we never specified that it would be either our biological children. What a load of crap. She's looking for any loophole, and obviously her perception of this guy is weak. Think about that. For her to bring this up and try to get them to go along with this, her perception is that he is obviously thinks I'm such the queen, he puts me on the pedestal, that I can actually get him to go along with this. Because obviously he worships my P word down there, so I can get him to do whatever I want. And obviously this man, drew the line in the sand. Says, I'm getting nasty phone calls and texts from them, his family. I've tried to call him several times, but he won't answer. Good. I won't answer either. At this point, I have no idea what to do. He has gotten upset like this before, but not to this point. I think someone's worried that her meal ticket's about to end. Now, she's been married to him 3 years. I don't know where she lives, but obviously she's going to get something out of the divorce. This will be a good time for him to kick her ass to the curb pronto before there's any more time in with her. I understand that the discussion wasn't easy, and he might have been made uncomfortable, but I was perfectly reasonable and honest with him the entire time. Perfectly reasonable and honest? It's not honest that you are pulling out of your ass this whole loophole thing that technically we didn't specify who the parents were going to be thing. And reasonable? Get the hell out of here. I still love him and want him to be our child's father. I just didn't want him to be the biological father. And now he's off the rails and more upset than I've ever seen him before. Well, who can blame him? No sane person would have an issue with his reaction to this. And not to mention, no sane person would go along with this bullshit. So, am I the a-hole here? Yeah, lady, you are. A big, giant, smelly, hairy a-hole. Is he overreacting? No. Or did I say something that went too far during the discussion? Yeah, you said something that went way too far. I honestly don't know what I'm going to do right now. And no one I've talked to about this has supported me so far, so I'm just trying to figure out if I'm truly crazy. Yes, lady, you're crazy, but more importantly, you're an a-hole. And if she's talking about this to other people, and nobody is backing her on this, what does that say? I mean, seriously. Now, I get in situations if your gut's telling you something like, I don't know, say you're in a relationship, guys, and you see red flags about the girl, and you want to break up with her, even though it's like a month before the wedding, and nobody else buys into what your gut's telling you, that's different. But this, come on here. She says, also, to all the people leaving their super negative, nasty comments, I hope you're happy that I'm now I'm now a teary mess because of you. Oh, boo-hoo. You brought this on yourself. I'm getting so much negativity over a choice about my body and what I do with it. At the end of the day, it's no one's decision but mine. These kinds of attitudes are why body autonomy for women are threatened. This has nothing to do with the other issue of which she's talking about. She is using that to be a selfish a-hole. And anybody that has an ounce of intelligence would see right through that. She says, let me ask you something. Would you like to have a son that is as tall as most women, who is balding prematurely, who would probably end up a loser living at home? Does that sound fun to you? I'm thinking about what's best for my future child. I love my husband, but I know that he experienced a lot of bullying and issues growing up, and I don't want that for my child. Is that really such a terrible thing? Lady, you are so full of shit. It's coming out your mouth, your nose, your ears, and every other place that it could probably ooze out. Okay? You're doing this because you don't want to see your husband and your future child. That's why. Because you want to have a child, so you can have a child, and then you can then divorce your husband, take him for everything he's worth, right? This poor guy, and then have a child that doesn't look like him, and you won't have to deal with him anymore. That's what she wants. And again, okay, he's short, he's balding, and maybe he was picked on growing up and bullied. Guess what? It happens to a lot of guys that weren't short or bald or whatever, but he learned to toughen up, and that's those experiences toughen guys up. And at the end of the day, but that's not what she's really thinking about. At the end of the day, it doesn't even matter because it's my body and my choice. If you're trying to shame me for making a choice about my body, you should be ashamed. I told you can't make this shit up, guys. So yes, you are the a-hole, a giant one. And anybody that doesn't think that's out of their freaking mind. Now, for fun, I have a few comments here. One of them says, abortion and incel short man troll. Trying to prove women are shallow B-words about short men, and we will cuck them to their face. And then throw in some BS about her body as her choice to resemble pro-life rhetoric. It's not very subtle. In other words, this female commenter says this is BS. This was a dude that wrote this just to make the gals look bad. Is that impossible? No, it could be. But to think that nowadays, with the attitude that's out there, and just you got some pure wackos out there that are that selfish, that delusional about their own self-worth, to say that no one could actually have that mentality and actually do something like this, you're crazy. Because I've seen crazier things. Another one says, I think it's funny that a lot of people on this sub just don't believe that people can be awful. Shallow, materialistic, disloyal, unfaithful. They're out there, folks. Exactly. They're everywhere. Another one says, I mean, when you say you want to have kids with someone, unless one of the parts involved has some kind of fertility problems, it's kind of implied that it's biological kids. And those edits, wow. The original poster missed the point by so much as you can't even see the point anymore. Yeah, she's a wacko. And right, like I said before, when people say when they're courting and dating and talking about their life goals to see if they're a good match, and they say they both want to have a family one day, they don't mean, oh, we get married and oh, it'll be some other person's child. You know, medical science will help assist because I'm too short. That's a little bullshit. Another one says, I kind of read this as, he's rich and treats me nice, but is too ugly to have babies with, so I want him to pay for me to have pretty babies so he can pay to raise. Exactly. Or my theory, I can get a child, and then I can divorce him, take all his shit, because I'm that awful, and then the child won't look like him, and I won't be reminded every time I see the child. Or, simply, I want to create something that is, you know, a dude that's 6 feet tall, six-pack, all that thing. If it's someone you truly love, you'd want your child to be part them. Not what she's talking about here, but she doesn't love her guy. It's obvious. Another one says here, I've seen this before, but the husband had genetic disorders that were almost guaranteed to be passed on to the offspring. He agreed to a sperm donor until it was time for a sperm donor. This witch is talking about my body, my choice too far. He should take it to your body, your choice, my divorce. Exactly. This dude, he's 33. He's 30 years old. And obviously makes a lot of good money because he attracted her crazy ass. So, end it. Talk to an attorney. Maybe that's what he's doing because she can't get a hold. Maybe he's talking to an attorney. If this guy's this successful, makes this kind of money that she would even marry him, he must know at least one lawyer. Talk to an attorney. Find out your best options, good, bad, or ugly. End it. Take the hit in the short term. He's 30 years old. Start over. Work on himself. And that's that. Have a better screening process in the future. Not make the mistake again. But staying with this lady, you're out of your damn mind, let alone going along with this madness, because I guarantee you, she doesn't love him. She only maybe convinced herself of this to obviously rope him in, this poor victim here. But anyhow, guys, like I said before, can't make this shit up. This is why I do this channel, because it's entertaining. That's how warped people are. All right, guys, that is it for today. Quick one compared to that long series I did this last week with a 45-minute video there and 30-minute video there. I know a lot of you saw them, and if you didn't, check them out. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Let me know. Do you think this is BS, or is someone actually that capable of having this attitude and making those kinds of demands? I'd like to hear your opinion on that. And also, guys, you come across some good stories that you'd like me to cover, whether it's a recent story that's crazy or something that happened a long time ago, maybe something that's already been covered on YouTube before, but I never did it, so send it my way, because I know a lot of you guys like long video series and all that. I'll definitely cover it if it is appropriate for the channel. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.